What's up, everyone? Welcome to the most positive pop culture podcast in the multiverse, Metalcore Nerds, the podcast that features members of your favorite bands as we explore their love of pop culture. I'm your host, Sean Mott, and this week I'm joined by Jesse of the number 12 Looks Like You. Welcome back to the show.
I'm back. If you thought I was gone, I'm back.
Back better than ever, I would say, maybe. Yeah.
You know that we'll circle back to that. Hard to say.
Okay, fair enough. That's life, I guess.
That's
But yeah,
life.
we were chatting a little bit before we hit record, and we were both under the impression that the last time we talked was way sooner than it was, but it was 3 years ago. 3 years
3
ago.
years ago. I feel like life is separated by COVID. I feel like everything pre 2020 is a lifetime, and then everything after 2020 is another lifetime. So I judge everything based off of that big bookmark. And after 2020, if it doesn't make sense, I'm like, yeah, I understand. It doesn't make sense. Time is truly an illusion, and I get all hippy dippy in it with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I had the same reaction. I was just like, I want to make sure we don't really talk about the same things. And there was like a new section of the show, and I was wondering if I asked you about it in the other one. And I checked the date, and I was like, wait a second. It's like that was not 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And a lot happens in 3 years. Like
Yeah.
whether it's you, whether it's me, a lot happens in 3 years.
We're going to get into what Jesse's been to in these past 3 years. But of course, whether you return to the show or first time listener, thank you so much for tuning in. The best way to support, if you're watching on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and comment. Tell us what you're currently watching. What if you're liking the show, if you're disliking the show. I just want to see what you think about it. And of course, if you're listening to this, best way you can do is support there. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Helps the podcast continue to grow, helps more people find the show. If you are a daily fix of Metalcore Nerds, you can find us on all social media at Metalcore Nerds. Now, I went back to our old episode, like I was saying, and I didn't ask you this question. I'm actually very shocked I didn't ask you this question. So we went in full depth of how you got into the entertainment industry from the music touring industry and everything like that. But I didn't ask you what got you into pop culture in the first place.
I don't even really know what the beginning of pop culture was. I guess if I had to guess, it would be just my earliest memory as a human being, which was Michael Jackson. That's as pop culture, I think, as you can probably get in the 80s.
Yeah.
Seeing all of his music videos and Moonwalker the movie and just everything Michael Jackson. It was just that was it. That was the North Star to life for me, was everything Michael Jackson.
Was there any movies you like remember when you were a kid where you're like, oh, I love movies?
Oh, you're saying pop culture movies at the time?
Yeah, like a movie that you remember from like you saw it when you were a kid and you're like, I love the feeling of movies, or anything like that you like remember from when you were a kid.
Probably. I mean, look, again, it's either Michael it's either Michael Jackson for something that was pivotal in my life, and the other one is Pee Wee Herman. It's those two. Those are the two yin and yangs that sort of complete me, is my foundation. So Pee Wee's Big Adventure was probably the one I would say that just made me love the journey that I went to. I felt like, do you know the movie?
Oh yeah.
Felt like I knew what Texas was. I felt like I knew the basement of the Alamo. I felt like I literally felt like I lived in those places because of how much texture it created, and the and all the music sounds that Danny Elfman created when he's hitchhiking across to go to Texas and going across the states. It's like you really just felt like you were in the fabric of that sort of time. And to me, it's like that's what movies do. They transport you. That's what it brings you along a journey. And I don't know, there was something about that movie that just it was my demographic too. I think if I'm correct, it came out either 83 or 85. Can't remember which one. I think it was 83, the year that I was born. But I was the exact demographic of that person. So
What a cool yin yang. Yeah, Michael Jackson and Pee Wee Herman. I mean,
yeah.
two of easily the biggest like characters and personalities of our lifetimes. Easily.
I agree. I I feel like what's a weird thing to say is I feel like I when I later in life, in my 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever the fuck it is, I feel like people who are legitimately into that same exact sort of combo, I tend to feel like I've got like a real personal connection. Like we, before even knowing that, I sync up with those kinds of people without even trying. I'm just like, whoa, we're on the same wavelength. Then further, it's like, oh yeah, I love this. I love when growing up and watching this. I love, oh my god, Paul Rubin and this, and you just I'm like, that's my people. That's what it is, and I don't know what it is. It's maybe I don't know, a certain because it's not for everyone. You know, it's not.
For sure.
It's like it's not like people being like, oh, no, I listened to Metallica growing up. I'm like, I never listened to Metallica, and sure, like, I'm who I am, but, like, I just grew up in a different way, you know?
Speaking of incredible personalities, I talked to Eric from Foxy Shazam last week for last week's episode. What a just genuine, beautiful human, honestly.
Yes.
I really enjoyed talking with him. I know you worked a lot with them on their new album, whether it's coming to, you did their promo shots. I know you produced the music video that Eric directed, which I didn't even know he directed the video, which I think is really cool. Tell me about that, like helping them with this new album.
A quick micro background history. So when I was about 19, 20 years old, Foxy was the first band I ever managed. So it
Oh
was
wow.
I had them I must have managed them for about 15 years, something like that. Yeah, very, very long time. And then I actually continued to work with Eric through his solo career. That's when the whole Macklemore downtown thing happened as well. So we just, me and Eric kind of never stopped. Because even after the whole Macklemore thing and the solo career, then I was fully into film producing, and I was putting him in movies. So he was in my Don Johnson movie, High Heat, just sort of constantly just working together since we were basically teenagers. So yeah, I had them for the first album that we did together, Introducing. We recorded that out in Seattle with Casey Bates. And then I did the self-titled, and then I did Church of Rock and Roll, and then we parted ways from there. We took a brief sort of hiatus from each other from there. Then I had Eric be the voice of one of the characters in my kids' puppet show, Shagulis, and he was Smagoogly Ogulabach. And then we were like, hey, let's do this again together. So started working with him as a manager with his solo career. And then we got this whole Macklemore thing that happened, and everything just exploded. And then we started doing some of the acting stuff, and then I really got fully into film producing. I just didn't have any time at all. So maybe I want to say this is about three. Fuck, I think this might be around 3 years ago now. Foxy had come back from a little bit of a hiatus, and I was like, oh, me and my old business partner John Black. I was like, hey, Foxy's coming through town. Let's, for old time's sake, let's go see him. This will be fun. So we went to the show in New York, and it just like it really hit me, just so much of a wave of emotions had come over me watching the songs that we all did together, the craziest journey of a roller coaster of a journey together, just like hearing a song and then remembering where we were, hearing a song, then remembering the certain tours, and just we went through so much of life together. And I left that night, thought about it, and something just kind of hit me where I just didn't feel like my journey with Foxy was complete. So I called Eric. I'm like, all right. I was like, hear me out. I think that we're missing something together. We're not done. Business isn't done between us. I said I want to come on board and help produce the next album. And I was like, I have this idea. You have this idea. So me and Eric sort of got together with our ideas. I'm like, all right, here's sort of like, and we sort of dissected a lot of like the ideas of what it was going to be and where we want to go with it. Just all the stuff how we did the old albums, and where Eric sort of, he's always got such a good vision, and where I sort of come in is the creative vision with him. So sort of enhancing that, sort of taking it to the next level. So next thing you know, Box of Magic was created and written and recorded. So just every step of the way, from the spark of the album all the way to the imagery, to the music videos, to the, I mean, everything all together. And that's how we used to do it for the back in the day, to at least again for the journey that I was part of with them, which was from the beginning, right after Flamingo Trigger. Then it was those, and then after, I believe after that, it was they had done Gonzo, they had done The Heartbeat Had You, they had done Burn, and then another album. So I think this is their 10th one. So yeah,
Wow, that's incredible. I
it
had no
was
idea you even managed bands, let alone managed that. That's so cool.
yeah. That was it's like I have my chapters in life and my
Yeah.
lifetimes, and that was a big one. Was management. I was managing Foxy, the first band I ever picked up. Second band was a band called Bad Rabbits. I
Oh,
was
that makes so much sense.
yeah,
Sonically, at least, you know what I mean?
had some producers, and then I got picked up by Crush Management, who had famously known for all the Fall Out Boy, Panic, and disco stuff, and now Miley Cyrus and Weezer and Green Day. So they had sort of absorbed my company, brought everything, all my artists in. So I quit Number 12 after I was managing. I felt like I was just going crazy. I was like, I've never done anything outside of music for the last decade of my life, and I just felt like I needed something more to show for myself, and so I quit music altogether.
Wow. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah,
Pretty,
you know how it goes.
I do know how it goes. As someone who just left two bands he was in in the last like few months, I get it. I
Yeah,
understand it. I mean,
it's
I'm
not
still
easy.
obviously very rooted. Not all of my design stuff, but most of my design stuff is all music industry stuff. And then there's this. And we're not
Right,
necessarily talking about music all the time, but it's very rooted in music. You know what I mean?
right.
So I totally get that. But
You'll never be able to get
so
away from it.
no, it's in my DNA and it will be
Yes,
there forever. There's no way.
yes.
I just think I've gotten better, and I'm sure you can understand this too. And I think I've just realized this 35 years into my life is that I just love being busy and I love doing so many things. And I think I've realized that I can do a lot and just not kill myself doing it and just do less of those things
Yeah,
and go 100%. I always go 100% in whatever I can, but going 100% in less things is probably better for everyone involved in my life than to go
I
100%
agree.
into a million things.
Because you know what winds up happening is you go 100% for every single thing. Not saying you're not going 100%, but the amount of things you're going 100% for, I back going 100% for everything. But when you spread yourself thin, and I've learned that with again all my different chapters of life, then some point something will not be 100%, and then you're sort of
Yeah.
like, well, what am I doing? It's like I know that could be better, but I'm only giving it 80% because I have to do this other thing, and it
Yeah.
just I think around like the 30s age wise is where you start realizing your priorities, and also you start realizing your value as an artist at that point. You're like, you
Yeah.
know what, I know I don't have to do this fucking flyer design for 200 bucks. It's not worth my time anymore. It's like I'm gonna either double my price or I'm just gonna say no and just put my focus elsewhere. It's like you have to prioritize, you have to value your time.
100%. Yeah, and that's definitely I've learned to focus that in a like a way more proficient manner. I
Good.
think in this last year, I think. But yeah, that's so. What does producing a music video look like? Like what is your job in that?
It's not that far from film producing in a way. You kind of like, so onset producing is kind of in a way producing a music video in a little bit of a way. Okay, so me and I'll be talking with artists because I do a ton of these music videos, but for Foxy in particular, it'll be like, okay, I will always have the idea, and they're like, okay, I want to do this. I want to hold on to the back of a car, and I'm sort of hanging on, and I'm singing the song, and I see go karts, and he sort of just says a bunch of like keywords, scenes, everything like that, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just okay, jotting down this. Okay, all right, that's cool. Okay, cool. I'm trying to string this all together, and then where my head goes as a producer is you have to look at numbers first and foremost. Creative, that's Eric's part. So I don't have to worry about the creative. It's going to be creative. He's already saying all the creative. I have to see if what he's saying is going to financially make sense for this whole project. So he'll start saying stuff, say stuff, say stuff. And I'm like, okay, green screening here, and we're renting a plane interior there. Okay. And then we're thinking about, okay, what's the budget for this? Okay, we're going to finance this. So you have to sort of start breaking down. Let's just call it, we want to film inside of the cockpit of an airplane. Okay. So you have to start thinking about, okay, are there any available near me? No. How much would it be to recreate it? No. Okay. How much would it cost to green screen it? No. Okay. Where are the sound stages that have it? No. None of it's financially viable. So then you have to pivot with the creative. So again, like I said, you think logistically first, so that the creative is always number one. And then it's like, okay, hey, this is the budget for this is going to be the budget for the whole music video, and that's not including camera costs, post-production. You have to think about all those different elements when you go down to that. So it's like, okay, what else tells that story that's just as cool, if not cooler, that we can do for a fraction of that price? Okay, well, what about we're standing on the runway of an airport. Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more. And then it sort of goes there. Okay, so we'll shoot this on green screen and we'll have the artist do. Okay, cool, that's affordable. Now we have enough money to hire the right cinematographer, have the right light. So I bring on my cinematographer. Then we have lighting people. Then we have different camera rigs. Then we have rental trucks. Then we have to factor in all the post production, because when you film it and all, you got to think about the post, and that's also another cost. So now you're thinking about the editing, the coloring, just the time of keying for all of the green screen stuff. Then you start putting everything together. Then you start thinking about the day of filming. Then you start thinking, okay, how can we shoot this in one day? Okay, we can't. How can we shoot this in 2 days but still be under budget? Okay. Then you start factoring in, what does one full day look like? Okay, 9 a.m. is going to start here, 10 a.m. is going to be here, to 12 is here. Then we have to break film, so we have to travel 45 minutes. Okay, so we need to get everybody in cars. We need to get here, wardrobe. And so you start thinking about all those, and you just put numbers next to all that. By the time you're done, you should be able to have a call sheet that has everything listed with all the crew, all the scenes, everything, and it should hit that budget. And that's sort of producing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, from what I have gathered from listening to interviews, researching everything like that, like the producers takes the idea of whatever is being made, whether it be a music video, film, TV show, whatever, and they make it logistically possible.
Yes, that's correct. That's pretty much it. Without that, and that's why at the end of the day, a lot of producers own the rights to things. Movies, the producers are the ones who own the rights, because they're the ones who just did everything that I described, but also they're the ones who are finding the financing, everything like that. So when they make a sale and it sells to a distributor, they're selling the rights to it. It's not the director. That's not they don't have the rights to it. So that's sort of how it all sort of comes into play.
That's awesome.
Eric, it's like, that's why I love working with him, because I can turn the creative side off and just let him run with all of it, as we've done in the past for so many things. So I can just focus on producing. But there's the creative producing, which is everything that we spoke about, but now add in all of the creative stuff. So you now have to come up with all the stories and everything like that, which is like what I do for all the other bands that I do. Like, I just did 3 Hail the Sun music videos back to back to back, and it was exactly that, sort of just putting all that stuff together and then producing.
So that crazy Matrix looking Hail the Sun music video, was that your idea?
The song for Blight that looks like it's a kind of Matrixy meets like Chris Cunningham,
Yes,
Apex Twins. Yeah, that was me.
That was wild looking. Like, it's like a visual onslaught. You're like, whoa, what the fuck am I looking at?
I wanted it to give anxiety. That was really what I wanted. I was like, I was just like, let's just think of the most unsettling imagery as much as we can. And we had to, we have very specific budget, so we can't just spend like crazy. But that one was meant to, I was like, we need adrenaline and anxiety and unsettling. And that was it.
Nailed it. For sure. For sure. Nailed it there.
Thank you.
So since the time we've talked to each other, I got really excited when I saw you post about this. You worked on Terrifier 3. I want to know how did that conversation come about? I'm sure it's probably like it was some sort of connection through your work in the film industry, and somehow that winded up in your lap. But how did that conversation come about for you to? And it seems like you were like the basically like the on-site photographer for the movie, because any Art the Clown image you've seen for Terrifier 3, this guy took it. It's on a t-shirt, it's on a poster, it's on whatever Jesse took it, which is so fucking rad. But like, how did that come about?
The series of events that led to this is still so wild, but it was like a January day, cold, whatever the fuck it was, just a whatever day, and I was just sitting there on the couch, and I just get a DM from this guy Joe, and he's like, "Hey," on Instagram, he's like, "Hey, you should hit this guy up," and it was just a story. He sent me a story. I'm like, and I look, and I'm seeing it, and it was Damon Leone, and I'm like, oh shit, this is the Terrifier guy. And it was just words that just said, I'm looking for a New York local photographer tomorrow. And it was like the morning time. And I was like sitting there, I'm like, there's no way the guy from Terrifier 2 is looking for someone for Terrifier 3. I'm like, he's got to have an arsenal of photographers sitting at his just waiting. So I was like, maybe he's got like a new project going. Who fucking knows? And for me, I'm still producing with doing my thing, film producing. And so I look at my calendar, no Zooms, no meetings, no nothing. I'm like, fuck it. So I hit Damien up. I'm like, hey man, like big fan of your work, and I'm available at my website, jessekorman.com, and you can see my Instagram page. I'd love to be considered for this. He hits me back. He's like, holy shit. He's like, yes, please. I would love to have you. I'll connect you with our first AD and the producer. And I was like, okay, cool. Again, not thinking much of it. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like this, I'm curious to see what it is. I connect with them. We go. So next day I show up to set, and I see on the call sheet, it's a different name. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what this movie is. And so I'm walking, I meet Jamie, the first AD, and I was like, hey, I was like, I'm Jesse. And I was like, so what's this movie all about? And this name, what is it? She's like, that's just the code name, but this is Terrifier 3. I'm like, that was pretty much like, I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like texting some friends. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I didn't think it was going to be, but it is. And sure enough, walk on set, and the rest was kind of history. It was only supposed to be a day one, sort of. It was only supposed to be a 1 day thing, and it was day one of filming, and it was probably one of the best experiences out of like the 37, probably 40 films that I've worked on, like produced or shot. That it was so fun, front to back. The most in like everyone fucking around, just like good energy, good environment, and they were just like, yeah, just do your thing. And I literally just did my fucking thing. I just walked around. I just shot what I thought was cool. I shot a lot of the prosthetic makeup going onto the monster in the scene where he's sort of hammering, and the Mother Mary sort of, she's there. And that was the first day, as it was the whole dream sequence of Sienna. And so that was my first day, and I'm shooting all that, and they're doing the special effects. And it was just like everyone, you can just tell there was such an energy in the air that like everyone knew, is like, this is history in the making. And I was just like, man, I'm so grateful and honored to be part of this whole story. So I really thought it was just going to be that 1 day, and I was like, oh, I hope they like what I did. And I sent all the photos, sent it to Damien, and he was like, holy shit, man, this is incredible. And next thing I know, they offered me to do the whole movie, and I'm like, yep, I'm in. And that was it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I admittedly am not a very big fan of those movies, only because they're not my thing. They
Sure,
just
yeah.
make me feel, which it does the job. It just makes
Does
me
the
feel
job.
so like gross watching them. I'm like,
Does the
oh, the,
job.
the kills are so brutal, and it's just not my thing. But I can fully admit that Art the Clown is probably like the most like iconic horror villain in the last like decade at least, of like, as far as new, like he is up there with like all of the greats at this point, like
Yeah.
everyone knows who Art the Clown is, you know what I mean, regardless if you've seen Terrifier or not.
Yep.
And I know what you said, he's like, oh, he probably has an arsenal, but you need to remember Terrifier 2 was not meant to be anything. Terrifier 1 was kind of this, like cult classic thing. Terrifier 2 was so big in its limited release, it got a short, wide theatrical release, and then that was so popular they extended it, which is like unheard of. You know what I mean? That's crazy, especially for
Yeah.
a very R-rated horror movie.
I mean,
Like that's crazy.
I don't even know if it was rated R. I think that
Like NC-17, right?
I think it was unrated. I mean, Terrifier 3 is the highest grossing unrated film of all time.
Right. Yeah, you're probably totally right. Yeah. But I remember, obviously we spoke once before this and then became internet friends and things like that. But I remember you posting that. I'm like, that's so cool. I was like, I love that. I was like, I know a guy who worked on Terrifier 3.
Oh,
Like I was like, that's so rad. So
thank
that's
you.
very cool. And
Thank
obviously
you.
they're working on a fourth. So I hope you get the call back for that. I'm sure you will, because all the images you posted look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
and they're everywhere.
it's
Like
like I
they're
said,
everywhere.
it's crazy to see it everywhere. I mean, you weren't kidding when I have a shelf here in my studio dedicated to just all the terror. Like I probably don't even have a fraction of the stuff that's actually out there, but the stuff
Right.
that I have on my shelf of just my images, from popcorn buckets to cups to barf bags to pins to t-shirts to posters. I mean, literally like everything. And I'll always remember Dame, like we were on set, I'm shooting, and like we're like well into filming, and I just remember towards the end, I just remember I was just like I was just like having so much fun shooting this one scene, and I got covered in blood because there was a scene where Art shoots the bartender, and I was right up close shooting the bartender of Art shooting him, and the blood shot right, like everything was usually blocked by plastic, but that tiny window hit me so much, and it shot all over my lens, all over my camera, all over my face, all over my shirt, everything, and it was like scared me because I was like, ba ba ba, oh shit, and it cut. I just sat there like this laughing, and I posted a picture of me covered with blood and my camera covered with blood. And I remember I was like, I went to Damon. I was like, man, I was like, I'm just having so much fun. I just want to say thank you again. He's like, just know these photos are literally going to be everywhere. And I always think about that. I'm like, yeah, I had a feeling because there's so much anticipation, but man, he I didn't think it was gonna be like, I mean, seeing billboards and marquees and sides
Right.
of buildings, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, this is literally like," it was just kind of a shock to me, and I don't know, it's just one of those, like, Forrest Gump moments where I just feel like I'm running through life, and then some sort of thing happens where a monumental thing is happening, I just happen to be right there, and I'm like, "How did I end up here? Like, who am I?" And yeah, I'm so grateful for everything that of all them, Damien and the whole team. They're the best.
And I'll always have so much respect for Damien, because I know I saw he was on this podcast and talking about, he's like, every major studio was trying to buy the rights to Terrifier, and he was like, no, this is mine, I'm keeping it. And I'm like, that's so fucking punk
It's
rock and
punk, man.
dope to
It's
do.
punk rock.
That's so sick, because he was right, he doesn't need it. Like you don't need it. So
No,
it's so cool to see him just like stick to his guns, like, this is my shit and I'm keeping it my shit. And it to
absolutely.
be that successful and like hit the zeitgeist in the way it did. Like you said, Art the Clown is everywhere. Like I went in Spirit Halloween, there's like a million Art the Clown things. Like like you can't escape it. It's everywhere.
Can't escape
It's
it.
undeniable. Speaking of movies, you're going to direct your first movie, or have directed your first movie.
I have directed it, and I have delivered it, and I'm waiting for a release date.
That's why I was going to ask. Yellow Eyes.
Yeah.
See, what attracted you to finally, I remember being around the business, obviously directing the countless music videos and then producing movies. You're kind of like, I'm sure that's always been in the back of your head, but like, what about this movie made you finally make that jump to be like, yes, this is the one?
I had been working for a company, and there's a producer, Joe Swanberg, who you look him up. He's done countless films, including the VHS. He had a show on Netflix called Easy. I mean, the dude's an absolute monster of a producer, like very quite legendary in his own sort of way. And he had they had the idea of doing a slate of 5 horror movies for a certain budget, so small budget. And he had picked me. He's like, hey, he's like, he wanted I think he had wanted somebody who was like me, in a sense, like, music video directors know how to get a lot done with a small amount. That's just a reality. All the music videos out
Right.
there are fighting the good fight. All of you, they are the ones who make. I can almost promise Almost none of them are making real money at all, but they're doing it just because they are able to. It really is. You have to love making music videos to do a music video. You have to love it because labels and bands just don't have that kind of money to throw away at creating a music video. It's promo material. That's not your, there's no return on stuff like that, you know? So this was the exact same thing. I knew how to make a budget work for a certain amount of money. And so for that reason, he's like, okay, he's like, well, what kind of project do you have? And so the sales agent, this guy Nick, he had sort of went around to the different markets around the world, went to all the buyers, distributors, everything. Said, hey guys, like, you know, what kind of movie are you all looking for? What do you guys want to buy? Instead of me coming to you saying, I have this movie to sell you, what kind of movie do you want to buy? What are you looking for? And across the board, horror. And then a smaller group of people, they wanted a possession exorcism horror. And then another layer, low budget. So low budget possession exorcism horror movie. And so I called my buddy Mickey. I'm like, hey, what can you do in the fastest amount of time with these parameters? So I sort of said, here's the things, going back again, music video thought process. Give me one location. Give me a couple actors. Give me something modern, super modern, like right now modern. Because if you think about possession exorcism movies, TV shows, they're all in the 1940s. This story happened. Oh, The Conjuring in the 1970s. It's all something here or there or whatever. Obviously, there's modern possession exorcism movies, but I wanted to get something that was relatable. People who were freelance people who work paycheck to paycheck, and they're just they're sort of down and out, and you know they're falling into hard times, and it's just like, I need a brick. Oh shit, I inherited this house from a relative, who, from uncle who, what? And so that's where the story really begins. And where it goes, I think it's a little too early to say, because I haven't worked on this. I didn't start any press for the movie yet, so like I still have to figure out the wording of it without giving too much away, because I feel like I'm about to like just explode with the whole like synopsis of everything. So that's sort of where it started. And Mickey had thrown, and dude, the even crazier thing was that we had to shoot this thing. There was a tiny window that we had to shoot this with Joe's people in Chicago, a place I was so unfamiliar with his people, because they had done 4 other horror movies. Like I said, the 5 slate, they had already done 4 of the movies back to back to back to back. And I'm the last one to go up, and I'm on fucking tour. I'm literally on tour with Fall of Troy, number 12, and we're just on tour, and they're calling me like, we need you to move now. And I'm like, I'm in like Albuquerque. I'm calling Mickey going, dude, we need to, like, I need you to write this tonight. So he's speed writing. I'm like, okay, this is good. Then we're sending it back to Joe. Literally, this all happens in like 2 weeks from the thought to a delivered script done. It was like 2 weeks. Joe sent back his feedback. He's like, this is a great start. Work on this. Okay, Mickey, why don't we try this? Change this character to this. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, okay, cool. You have now 2.5 weeks to get home and then be in Chicago to start filming. And so I'm like scrambling. And then Joe's like, okay, here's the people you want. Here's the DPs that you can choose from. Here's the art director. And I'm sitting there on tour, like I said, like half awake, because we just played the show the night before, where I'm like in the front passenger seat looking at DP work. I'm like, okay, this guy looks pretty good. Okay, this guy looks pretty, and I'm sitting there going through the script, trying to come up with the shot list and everything. And man, let me tell you, talk about the best experience. Like, shot the whole movie for about $150,000 in 12 days, the whole thing.
Wow.
And I am so proud of it, because I know it's not going to change the world, but for what we did, I couldn't be more proud of it. It's something that I'm like, I just feel so strongly putting out into the world to be like, hey, look what we did for how much we did. We turned this around so well, so fast. So yeah, I'm like over the moon about it.
So you said waiting for release date. I'm sure we can probably expect it next year, I would imagine.
There was talks about it this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you know where people are going to be able to watch it?
So a company called Inaugural, a new distribution company, a newer one, I believe met their down the chain of ownership, I believe, is Amazon. I think Amazon owns them. So
Oh,
if I had to
okay.
guess, Amazon.
Cool. Well, that's
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
know. Cool.
So
Awesome. Well,
pretty sure.
everyone be on the lookout for news about Yellow Eyes and when that's dropping. I'm excited to check it out. I love a good one location horror movie.
Yeah,
Those excite me because it strips away everything and makes you focus on, the character and the story. Like that
Mhm.
that's what makes it exciting. And that can be very, very cool. So I'm excited to see
Yes.
that. Very, very excited to see
Thank
what
you.
you put out there. Do you
Excited to
want to
share.
know what have you been consuming lately? TV shows, movies? Has there been anything you've been watching lately and really liking or not liking? It can go either way.
I have been consuming a lot, surprisingly. Why? I don't know. I guess it's just I come in waves. I'll go a couple months without watching anything, and I just need a break from it all.
Sure.
I think that's kind of everyone. I
Yeah.
mean, so I just. I'm just going to sort of spitball a bunch of them. Alien Earth on Hulu, incredible, absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it, people, watch it. It is so good. There's some pretty good horror movies. Bring Her Back was probably one of my favorite ones in the more recent times. That one
Yeah.
it just leveled up. It's going to make everybody level up in their sort of space, in their genre space, because those motherfuckers, man, those filmmakers, the brothers, they
Yeah.
just, man, it's like the writing that they have, the story, like between Talk to Me and Bring Her Back, just the way everything was written, the way they build their anticipation, and then you throw in their expertise of special effects makeup and the scenes, like, I don't want to spoil
The
anything, but
knife scene.
when you look at some of those things, all that goes through my head is, how did they do that? And that, to me, for someone who knows how a lot of that stuff is done, for me to scratch my head, like,
Yeah.
okay, so they cut that shot here, they picked it back up here, and I'm trying to break it down like a science, and for to like excite filmmakers and people like that, to keep them on their toes, I'm like, this is to me, that to me is it. Like, it's just, it hits everything. It hits everything. So love that. I enjoyed Weapons. I wouldn't say I loved it. I enjoyed
Okay.
it.
Which
I
actually is kind of weird because I feel like Zach Kreger lives in a world almost, or at least where you see people talk about it, at least online or in person. He usually lives in a realm where it's either you love it or you hate it. So I'm actually kind of happy to hear someone that you're like kind of middle leaning positive, but still kind of middle of the road.
I like what he's doing. I watched a new Conjuring. I thought that the Last Rites. I took my nephews to go see that. That was cool.
Nice.
Classic Conjuring, I guess. You're
Yeah.
not changing anything. It's exactly what you imagine it to be. That's fine. I
It's
love it.
pretty much what I've heard. Yeah.
It's
It's
literally exactly what you probably imagine it is. That is what it is. Yeah, I really feel like I have watched a lot, but you know how it goes when someone's like, "What have you been
yeah.
watching?" and everything just goes blank. And then you
Right.
hang up,
Yeah.
and then you're like, "Oh, wait, I watched this and I watched that." I wonder why that happens, but yeah, that's kind of
I
what's
do wonder
happening.
why that happens. I always have to write them down. I so
Oh,
I
that's a good
understand
idea.
that it does happen, but I have a list. Well, Letterbox is obviously amazing for movies,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I know they're transitioning TV stuff in, but like I don't know if I'll do that
Uh,
because I don't want them kind of mixed. I don't know. There's also an app for TV, but I just for some reason I didn't connect with it like I did with Letterbox and movies. But I have an ongoing notes list of every series I've watched from this year
oh,
ranked,
really?
and it's a very lengthy list. It's a very
How,
lengthy list.
how many things could you count how many you've done?
I think it's over 50 series from this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Top ones?
Severance, season 2. The
Incredible.
Pit, season 1, which was
Haven't seen it.
it's honestly incredible. I did not
Okay.
expect to like it as much as, but the acting, the format, the just the story is so fucking top notch. Is
Okay.
so
I'm gonna have to
uh
watch it.
Andor season 2, which is crazy how good that is. And I think it is kind of ruined Star Wars for me in knowing that I know nothing will ever be as written as well as that show. I think
Okay.
it's the best written Star Wars thing ever. Like I don't know,
Wow.
I don't know if I'd say it's the best or my favorite, but I think it is the best made and best written Star Wars thing of all time. And I don't think anything will ever top it. It's truly phenomenal. Alien Earth is up there. I loved Alien Earth. I think the last 2 episodes aren't as good as the first 6 episodes.
Sure.
A lot of the ideas of the series I loved. And I don't think, and I'm not one of those people that are like, they didn't answer every question. I'm mad because that's not TV. You need to leave in order for it to continue. I'm fine with that. But I feel like in that like last montage, it was almost like way too much of a setup for something else. And they obviously kind of,
And
they told the story was like the Lost Boys. That was the main thing. And they had a full arc for that. But I think it was like, I think the one that made me not angry, but I was like, I kind of wish they almost left it out, was like the Weyland-Yutani ships about to arrive in the short scene. And then you're like, yep, you're not going to find out anything about that. I was like, just left it out and it wouldn't have mattered, because it's such a short scene and they don't
such a short scene. And you're right. And it's also just like, great. Now what?
You kind of saw that coming anyway. So it's like the implied notion of it could have been enough. And I think it would have made me less upset. But that series is incredible. If they don't greenlight for a season 2, I'm going to be so upset because I think it's so good.
Yeah, I think that's going to get greenlit for sure.
And I know the ratings for it were like really high. Like it was like super high in like the streaming ratings, like dethroned Netflix for like the top most streamed thing at the time and stuff like that. So
cool.
I love Alien Earth. There's a show, Task, on HBO that stars Mark Ruffalo. That show.
Oh yeah. I heard that was good. Yep.
So good. It's the same creator and team that did Mayor of Easttown. So no
yes,
shit. It's also, and it's supposedly in the same world. It's very much the same tone. Instead of like a whodunit, it's a very much, you kind of know what's going on, but the way it unravels key bits of information that feel like bomb drops, but they don't present it as a bomb drop. It's just kind of like shown in bits of dialogue and stuff is so masterful and awesome, and I really appreciate it. It's got a few episodes left, but I'm loving that show. If it sticks landing, it's definitely going to be in that upper echelon of TV. And there's a show that has a new season out, but I'm catching up, but it's called The Morning Show. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's like one of the first Apple TV
so good
series. Dude, I'm on season 3.
Great.
I cannot believe how dark this show is.
Yeah, very dark for like a thing that looks so bubbly too.
Because you see who's in it, and you figure it's going to, even if it's a drama, it'll be kind of comedy leaning. It stars Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, which obviously are known for like comedies and sitcoms and things of that nature. But I've heard great things about it, just never watched it. And then I was just kind of, I don't know, something brought me to watch it. And after watching like the pilot, I was like, whoa, this is not the show I expected to be, in a very good way. Like it follows a morning show. It's called The Morning Show. It's pretty much like Good Morning America, just in this fictional world, but it's very much feels like a mix of Succession and House of Cards in like the best way. I told my friend that, and he's like, whoa, that's not what I expected that show to be. And I was like, dude, it's so good. Steve Carell's in it. John Hamm eventually gets into it. Greta Lee eventually gets into it. Mindy Kaling's in it a little bit. It is so good. I'm shocked of how good it is.
Yeah.
And I think season 5 just started, so I'm still working my way to just started. So I'm still working my way to get to that. But wow, I feel like more people need to talk about the show. And obviously people have to watch it if they keep greenlighting it. Apple TV is like, now they've become this like prestige streamer, with stuff like Severance and Ted Lasso and things of Shrinking, and so obviously The Morning Show has been it was like one of their first series. But I can't recommend that show high enough. Holy shit.
I mean, are we surprised that Apple is just dominating another market? I mean,
No, I've been kind of the biggest cheerleader for Apple TV Plus for years. I've had it since day one. I mean, they gave it to me for free for I think like a year. So they just kept extending my free trial. I don't know why. And then after that, at that time, it was only like $8 a month. So I was like, sure, whatever, $8 a month. Now it's like 13 or whatever, but I'm still keeping it. I don't care. I love it. So,
nice plug for Apple TV.
Yeah, you're welcome, Apple TV. You get that one.
Welcome,
I mean,
Apple.
I've been singing its praises for years. So
I
will say, Apple TVs, their PR people are very good to me with screeners. So there is that. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Apple. Ding.
Thank you, Apple. Oh my God, man. And Alien Earth, I do want to say the last thing on Alien Earth, it's become, when Severance season 1 was coming out, every guest I had on that I would do this section with, they would bring up Severance. And now Alien Earth has become that show. Every guest come on is like Eric, Foxy Shazam.
Yeah.
I was shocked. He's like, Alien Earth, I love it. And I'm like,
yeah.
It's like every week.
Everyone.
People bringing up Alien Earth.
I mean, there's not many shows that are ending off an episode with just an old school Alice in Chains song. You're just like, what the fuck? It's just, and like, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to have to keep talking about Alien Earth. Everyone, just go watch Alien Earth if you haven't seen it. There you go. It's fucking great.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, man. It was a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah, you too, man. It was 3 years too long.
Yes, I agree. I think we need to catch up more often for sure.
Hopefully the next time that we talk, I hope that there is some other monumental things in my life that will happen. That's all I can hope for.
Me too. I'm hoping the same thing for you, man.
Hopefully for you. I mean, look, you're doing your thing, leaving bands and doing things, and who knows, maybe it's going to be like, maybe you're going to be too big for all of us. It's going to be like,
I don't think so. Before we totally leave, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on, any number 12 stuff you got coming up, any other things.
What do I have going on? Yes, new number 12. We just put out a couple singles, and we are basically prepping for our first full-length release in probably like 6-7 years. So we have that. We have some cool tour plans for next year. Again, still too early to say, but as you know, fellow designer, artist, trying to sort of grow the commercial work. So we started a new company called Channel Distortion, which is a creative agency, and we're creating primarily social media content. So just producing a lot of that content for different brands that aren't so much like band related or this sort of weird avant-garde sort of thing. It's just more commercial brands. The indie film producer, the indie show people, there's not much money in it. There's just people who aren't paying for it. And so the people who have money are these brands. And so people are always going to want content. They're always going to want to view things, but who are the people who are going to have the money so that content can be made? And so the whole world is changing. Everything is changing. And I've been doing this long enough to sort of see the pacing and the pulse of where it's going. And I do believe that we're going through a major shift right now. So that's kind of everything in a way. There's more, but who fucking cares? You don't need to hear any more about me. that's enough.
Very fair and all very, very cool stuff. But again, I will link down below with where you can find Jesse, where you can support Jesse, down in the links below. If you want to support the podcast, go to metalcorenerds.com. All our links there in one easy place. And if you want to follow me in my personal account, it's just @SeanXMod on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, see you later, nerds.